Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and I do appreciate you for tuning in. I, of course, am Carl, the host of today's episode, of course, and the channel, I guess. I'm kind of the permanent staple at this point in time. So, today's episode of Vacuum Exposition, we're going to be looking at a cool little machine from my collection, and then we're going to be doing a little bit of a run test, as well as going back down into the collection room just to show you where I park it, as well as to kind of close us out at that time. Now, we'll get into that in just a bit. I do want to apologize. I know this video is a little late. Gosh, it is hard to believe that over a week has passed since the last episode, but I'm going to try to get you guys another episode this week. I unfortunately got pretty busy this weekend with working on some other things, as well as I had to get caught up on some work from my vacuum business. I had a Kirby Avalier that was giving me some troubles. Thankfully, we got that sorted out. However, I did want to let you guys know that I will be doing other content other than just the exposition videos. But I also want to know what you guys want to see. So if you don't mind commenting on the video, just let me know what you want to see. I know that I posted some of my stuff on some of the vacuum pages on Facebook. If any of that kind of stuff you want to see an exclusive video on, want to know the history on, or maybe you just want me to yammer on about something else, I don't know. Just kind of give me an idea. So, with that, we're going to move on to our vacuum exposition for today. So, sit tight. All right, everybody. So, what I wanted to discuss today is a machine that has really been special to me because it represents not only a piece of history, but also an important player in my growth as a collector as well as a restoration expert, I guess you could say. Probably not. I'm still pretty amateur at a lot of things I do, but I can make things look pretty nice. Don't mean to toot my own horn, but I digress. Now, what we're looking at today is a 1958 Westinghouse model DF-1. Now, this was an important machine because it represented the end of an era for the look of Westinghouses. Up until that time period, we had this kind of almost Kirby-esque looking horizontal motor along with this wide front end and kind of a skinny back end. In addition to this, we also had a dust bag here. However, in doing my research on this machine, you could actually put a paper bag on this, which was pretty new at the time. I know that Hoover had been doing it for quite some time. Being as this is a post-war machine, that's when they first started doing kind of the paper or papyrus type of bags that would come out. Some of them were even meant to be dumped and reused, if you can believe that. But the DF-1 was one of the very last that came out before Westinghouse's legendary one-stroke upright, or was it wide stroke? I don't know. It was a very odd looking, kind of represented a time of when things went into a more streamlined space age of the 60s. This was not that. This was representing of a time when we were getting back after the war, trying to rebuild and slapping vacuums together, making them look good, just so it was something that you could be proud of. Now, this machine has long since not been one of those, mostly because it was considered ugly. Not sure why. A lot of people have regarded it as the ugly duckling that came before Westinghouse revamped a lot of what they did. However, I love it, and I'll tell you why. Because with ugly machines, or impractical machines, they didn't tend to sell very well. This machine, they sold fairly well. However, you don't see a lot around now. And the reason being is this came in at a time when we were starting to throw things away more. Now, while this could be fixed by a vacuum shop, it was becoming more and more evident that vacuums were coming out, well, a lot quicker than they would have back in the 30s to the 40s when this design first came out. Now, revolutionary-wise, it came out with this handle that we like to call it kind of like a trapeze style, or A-frame if you'd like. I really like it because it's very lightweight. You can pick it up. It also wraps around to the side and the back to keep the cord kind of out of the way. Now, when it came to the restoration on this, and I'm going to show a picture of that restoration process of where we started with when I first got this machine. Now, the original owner of this particular Westinghouse was a gentleman, also collector by the name of Nick Bottomer, and he has been a big support in my collection, and I have tried to be a support in his as well. Now, at the time, the original cord had crumbled away, much like the Kenmore had in my previous video. So Nick had replaced it with another cord, as well as, well, the front plate was missing. Now, with these vacuums from the 40s up into the late 50s, from this brand in particular, those were a cover that went over essentially the suction hole. It was there mainly so that you could use a screwdriver and put the belt back on the armature, or for a vacuum, that's the drive shaft in that way. Now, that was a great solution to what previously was not available. So sometimes there was vacuums where you had to dig that thing up in there, or you had to stretch the belt way out to get that brush roll in. Well, with the implementation of that access, it gave us a way so that we could change the belt. Now, Kirby, around this same time, was coming out with their magic finger type belt remover. Now, while that worked great, that belt lifter was proprietary to Kirby, so not a lot of other people could use something like that. Now, the DF-1, the front plate, when those get lost, or when they got lost, it was almost impossible to find a new one. Now, this one's was missing. And unfortunately, because there's not very many examples of this particular model of Westinghouse, that, that makes things a little hard. Especially some of these parts, sometimes you get lucky and a collector has one that they've just kind of been holding on to. Maybe they found in a box full of other vacuum parts. That happened. People took these off, or they just fell off. There's just a couple of spring clips that hold them in there. So if you knocked the thing into it, maybe you were taking it into your storage unit for safekeeping, you might bump the thing off. But when they got lost, it was pretty much a 0% chance you were ever going to find one again. Now, I've got a couple uprights that have the cover that's on that front, and thankfully those ones still have them. However, this particular model was desirable enough to me, for historical purposes only, as well as design-wise, that I had to try to do something about finding or making a new cover on the front. Now, this is where my friend Dan comes in. Me and my friend Dan have known each other for a while. He and I actually worked at a carpet store together. Long story short, Dan and I do not work at a carpet store anymore. But we've remained friends. Now, Dan is a big 3D printer guy. So, when I got this machine, I immediately thought of him and thought, maybe there's a way we can make this. So, I gave him some designs. I showed him the pictures of what the original one would look like. And I told him basic, dimensions of what I needed. And, we played around with some ideas, and he actually gave me several different prototypes. Of those prototypes came this. Now, it's not a perfect match to what was there. I'm gonna say that this is probably the best we can do. That really tied it together. I got that. I found a way and made some spring clips for the back of it, because of course that also wasn't there. And now we have a front cover. And Dan and I looked around and we found a filament that matched very closely to what we have here, and I think it just looks perfect. Of course, in this little slat right here is the headlight, so when it lights up, man, it gets going. The only other things that I had to do when I first got this machine, I also had to fix the bag. Now, unfortunately, as time goes on, things like moths exist, and they like to eat that old material that we see here. So there's a couple of little holes that are left, but I did have to sew up some of the larger tears that have been caused. I also had to replace the cord. Thankfully, well, Nick did replace it with a brown cord. I found this white one that was very close, or I guess it's a gray color. It was very close to the original. It actually matches very nicely to the handle, which it would have originally. So that is what I did with this magical little machine. So I'm gonna do a quick run demo on it, just to kind of show you guys what it looks like when it's all up and going. All right, everyone, thanks for joining me back here down in the vacuum room. I did just kind of want to close out the video today. Of course, this is where the little Westinghouse gets parked amongst its friends and comrades, brethren of whatever type. But anyways, like I was saying earlier, if you want to see something in this room, something up on a shelf, something from the previous videos and backgrounds that I haven't covered yet, well, I'm going to get to more of it, but like I said, let me know what you guys want to see. I know that I'm going to be doing some more collection videos, of course, like I've been doing. We're going to get into my storage. I have a lot of bins of vacuum cleaners that have been in storage for some as long as I've gotten them, which could possibly be about 10 years. But I want you guys to let me know what you want to see, and we'll catch you later on the next one.